Yeah,
Go.
welcome to Small Willies and Big Egos. It's been a few weeks. We are
Yeah.
good to roll. It's a new setup here today at your place. I've moved in with Mao. Not been organised at all today in regards to how this is being set up. So yeah, apologies if anything's not perfect, because life's not perfect. And yeah, we're just rolling with that.
That's correct.
Yeah, welcome, man.
Welcome back, and welcome actually back to this country, to these shores, back from exploring the world. And it's so nice to have you home. And
Yeah,
I've said it a few times today, but I've said it almost 100 times
yeah,
today. It is really incredible to have you home. I felt like it was really potent to have you back in circle this week. It
yeah.
was like a missing sort of piece to the puzzle in there on a Tuesday night, and not only that, but I got my best friend home,
Yeah.
which is just it's comforting,
Mm,
comforting for me to have you home and have you back in living here at the moment.
yeah.
In the space in our little bachelor pad or in our little treehouse. Well, I can't really say bachelor pad,
Not a bachelor over here anymore.
but so
Haven't done my Clio. Haven't done my Clio yet, but
yeah, and the bi bachelor, so two bachelors and
yeah,
one man that is certain, and this is one of the most
oh,
beautiful and most profound things that came up for me this week, that um there's certainty around love.
yeah. Let's. What do you? I'd love to know your reflection on that because I have mine. So yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing, I listened to a podcast this week which was all around uncertainty in
Oh
life.
yeah.
So we live now in such a state of uncertainty, but what the podcast was leaning into was around the fact that we don't know how to handle uncertainty
Mm,
because everything is such a quick fixed, and such a everyone has such ease to get things. So
yeah.
as soon as you said that, it's like I can't. I'll paraphrase your words, but they're along the lines of that. It's the first thing in a long time that you've been certain of
Yeah.
in this love, and straight away it I felt it really deeply because yeah, that was the thing. It was the only certain thing we have in life is death. The only certain thing, like 100% that we know is going to happen. Not that what we believe, what we
Mm,
know is that there is an endpoint to this passage of our life.
mm,
And yet to hear you say that there is certainty in love I was like, fuck yes.
yeah.
Like there's a space where you can believe what you want to believe and you can feel what you want to feel.
And
And
you can be certain
yeah.
of whatever it is that you want to feel as well. Like, yeah. Oh, ah.
It's really,
Um,
really beautiful.
yeah, for the listeners, I have just come back from overseas, just give a bit of the story of, and yeah, like a big part of the journey was, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say I went to find love, but I feel like I've always desired to find love. And Christmas in July, I went home to Adelaide, and a friend of a friend who, yeah, channels some messages said to me that when I go overseas, I'm going to find the love of my life. And so inherently, I thought, oh, well, once I'm overseas, I'll find a German woman, or I'll find someone overseas that is going to make me, yeah, happy. And yeah, I did fall in love. Oh, that was big. This is public. Falling, yeah, I don't need to hide that. Yeah, falling in love with someone overseas, but she happened to be here on the Gold Coast, and yeah, it's been 3 weeks and 2 days.
When we say falling in love,
Hmm.
why do we say falling?
Because we're scared. We're scared to actually own the whole piece of
Yeah.
like love, and I haven't told this person that I love them yet. So I felt the not wanting to actually do that on this podcast.
Yeah.
Um, I think we both know that we're falling in love with each other, or there's like, because I think the falling in love is that there's depths of love that are found.
Okay.
We transition through. Yeah. There's some things I don't want to say because I haven't said them to my partner yet,
Yeah.
and I want to save that for her. But yeah, I feel like you find an instant love, and then you continue to fall in love, and I hope that you continue to fall in love for the duration of your relationship, because it's just getting deeper and deeper and more loving and more, yeah, special. So I said we had our first catch up on Wednesday, and I was at her house and I'd cooked dinner and I was waiting for her to come home, and she bust through the door and threw all her stuff on the ground and like jumped in my arms, and that's like what I've been waiting for so long. And later on in the night, I said, "Oh, we're never going to have that moment again. We're never going to have that first moment of you walking through the door, us feeling that way." And but I said, but we also can have those moments over and over again.
Yeah.
We can keep making that moment you come through the door one of the most special things of the day. And it doesn't need to become monotonous and
No.
bland. And, you know, if you keep tapping into like the love and the desire to continue to love deeply, you keep seeing those moments over and over again. They don't diminish.
I agree, and I love Jordan Peterson speaks about that. He speaks about the dogs that greet you, when you get home.
This is what I said. Did I say this today?
No.
Oh, fuck. Who was I saying to today? Oh, no, I said it to Luke last night. I said, I want the love that my dog has for me when I get home.
Yeah, and he says that, and he says, why can't we? So he talks about the holiday, the whole idea of a holiday. So he says, human race talks about, I just can't wait to go on a holiday. And he said most of the time when he gets on a holiday, he's bored.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if it's longer than 7 days, he said he believes that it should only be around 7 days because the holiday is life.
Yeah.
He said, can you make the moments when your wife comes home, or when you come home, or when your kids come home, and celebrate them when they enter the door or your domain? Or are you, do we just fall into that the monotonous of life?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing to say, because that's what came straight to my mind. Is you're like, this moment is something that's really special, and you'll never forget it because it's the first, right? But can you continue recreating the first? You're probably not going to get the exact same feeling, but you can recreate that beauty, and then fall in another space, have a first with something else too. But more recently, I've been thinking that I've got around 35 summers and winters left. Like, average person lives to about 75 to 80. So I'd love to live a lot longer than that. But if we just give it a number, we got 35 summers and winters to go. That's not a really long time.
No.
In the scheme of things. So yeah, there can be lots of hugs through the door, and lots of moments in that time that you can create and make them really special.
Yeah, I want doggy human love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was so interesting. You just said that, because that's what I said to Luke. I was like, yeah, I feel like Chop. Like when she comes home, I'm like, oh, she's here. And I want to feel like that forever. And I believe that that's true. I'd gotten to a point there where I felt like, oh, there's always ebbs and flows, yes, and all these things, but we just get so contained by the way relationships should be, or things should be hard at the start, or there should be this depth, or this, I put myself in lots of different boxes, and I've just broken back out to the box that I knew was true for me, which is love that is just easeful and beautiful and intense and fast, but also grounded in knowing and safety within ourselves to be able to be intense while also knowing that we're not going to lose ourselves. I think that's a big piece. And letting honesty and truth rule the trajectory of the relationship.
I love that. I really do. I look forward to being on the podcast in the future and talking about my partner. And those things resonate with me, and the big one for me is the honesty and the truth about who I actually want to be, and what I would like to bring to the relationship. And I'm looking forward. Listeners, I always say to Jacob, I look forward because I learned so much from him. Just around. I learned so much from him just around when he speaks about something that he's done, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to try that, or oh yeah, that really resonates with me. I'm looking forward to trying to experience that, and it's really beautiful. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. And you get to meet her tonight. We get to have dinner tonight.
Going out to dinner. I even put my leading into masculinity today. I put my big boy pants on yesterday, and I text Jake and I said, hey, I booked dinner for 7:00 tomorrow night for 3 people, which I was extremely proud of, because I felt like it's been a little while since I just said, well, I'm doing this, and I'm looking forward to taking you guys out and sharing a meal with you this evening, and just stepping into that feeling of like strength, which is a huge part of masculinity. And my first question that I had,
it wasn't very clear on like the dress that I needed to wear, or he was just like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it probably like, hey guys, just it's casual wear, something cool, something warm, you know.
This is
But
this is like,
now I'm a girl sitting at home going, "Oh fuck, what do I wear?"
yeah, this is see, this is learning.
Yeah.
This is like, thank you. I just
Kristen's first thing was like, "Well, what do I wear?" I was like,
I've got my pen. I'm just taking a few notes.
I was
Okay,
like, "I
so
don't know." I said,
Kristen said,
I'm gonna assume casual-ish
yeah,
and just wear whatever you're comfortable in because you look beautiful anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I agree. And
Yeah.
it's definitely casual. I'll send her a text next later. So what do you believe at this point, if where we start, yeah, what is masculinity to you?
Um, what is masculinity to me? Yeah, well, it's the opposite side of feminine, you know. But yeah, it's not one thing. It's the opposite of something, so it needs to be melded in with something else as well. When we talk about it, it's got to be the opposite. It's the yin and yang, and how we define ourselves as a masculine man is our own perception of like what attunement is, or what confidence is, or what expression is. And for me, it's the totality of all those things of how we show up as a man. And yeah, I feel like society still. I feel like we've shifted into this view of like we're trying to move so much away from stoicism, and we're trying to help a man connect more to his heart. But then if he's in partnership with a woman that's also learning about themselves, the man is taking up the mantle of having to hold the space, hold the fort, hold the strength. And yeah, I think that's now becoming a detriment to the man expressing those emotions again, because they're getting told to be soft for themselves to connect. But then if they've got a woman that's in her mess as well, it's like, well, you need to hold. You need to make me feel safe. And it's like, well, yeah, a lot of men are still transitioning into making themselves feel safe. And then when they outlay all their energy into making their woman feel safe, they completely deny themselves and who they are. And yeah, then it relapses into the same fucking condition that we've had for so long. Is yeah, I feel like it's not so much about this connecting into your masculine or your feminine or polarity or all the things that we talk about. It's like, how authentically raw can we actually just be honest in our relationships? Like, simplistically put, if we can remove the need for having to be safe, if you can take ownership for that for yourself and not have to make your partner make you feel safe for you to share, because then they've got to hold a pillar or something, they've got to do something. It's like, well, can you just own that shit for yourself and create the safety in yourself and be honest in all parts? Because then you don't have to wait for anyone. You don't have to then fret about having to hold something for somebody else. You just get to be honest and raw. And yeah, I don't even know what fucking masculinity is anymore. Like, it's not really a word that comes into my realm much anymore. It's like because men are also, they're like, oh, I'm trying to be more masculine. I'm like, what does that mean to you?
Okay.
What does it mean to you, like the person? Like, what is masculinity? I know there's pieces that, like, you stepping more into masculine and organizing the dinner and doing those things. Yes, they're the conditions of how we lead as men, for sure. But that doesn't mean, it doesn't really mean anything special attached to masculinity. It's just you being more confident and to make more choices and to know yourself better and to be better attuned to yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make you more of a man or less of a man? I don't know.
Well, what's coming up for me is, and trying to I'm trying to look into. So it's when you said safety, I think that then there's the strength in the safety, right?
Mm,
Because the more safe I've become with myself over the last 8 months to a year,
yeah,
the stronger I am in the decisions that I'm going to make
totally.
that are going to serve me firstly,
Yeah,
and then when I have a partner, the considerations and the um, decisions we're going to make together, I'm going to feel a lot safer in myself to be able to make those.
mm,
Um, if I went back a year in the chaos or the patterns that I was in, the masculinity I felt came from trying to make these really strong decisions, but I didn't feel safe in those decisions anyway that I was making. So if I think back to partners I had, and I would flee and run because I didn't feel safe already, so I wasn't able to portray any of the masculinity, which then actually made me, or what I believed was masculinity, which actually made me feel worse
mm,
as a man, because I was like, oh, I didn't show up like this, or I didn't. behave like this, and this is, you know, what I believed a man should do. So yeah, I
Yeah,
really,
but a lot of that was you like you're in the shadow side of your masculinity, really, because
yeah,
you were not speaking, and you really just needed to attack. You needed to. Oh my God, dog!
mm,
Shut up, Reg. Um, you needed to drop into more of your softness,
mm,
really. Like it was more of your femininity that you needed to
yeah,
find, and your attunement to your emotions and your
yeah,
feelings, and it didn't have anything to do with your masculinity side,
mm,
because that was operating anyway, but
mm,
operating in a place of wounding anyway.
mm,
But yeah, you needed to find more of the softness and the peace and the calmness
mm,
and the flow of the feminine energy, which has then made you a stronger masculine man
yeah,
because
yeah,
you've tuned into those things. So a man that's sitting in his wounded, trying to be more masculine, generally comes from a side of just being more honest and raw and soft. We talked about this a while ago. I think you asked what is toughness,
mm.
and I said softness.
Softness, yeah,
You know,
yeah. What is being tough? You said
yeah.
toughness.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I've just moved so far away from polarities.
Mm,
I was on polarities for such a while there, and I was like, "Oh, you need to do this, and then they need to be light family. You need to be dark mask." Rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, "Fuck." They're maps. Yes, they're maps to
mm,
help people understand how relationships work at different levels. Um, but I believe then we can get so caught up in the boxes of the polarity of like, "Oh, well, you're being like this, so I need to be like this."
yeah, yeah.
You know?
And it's another label. Like we've
Yeah,
spoken about the labels. As soon as we identify something, that we are something or that we should be something, then it takes away from something else that we're missing. I believe anyway. As soon as I feel that I start labeling myself as something, or I need to be more like this, or you know, then I get fixated on that piece, and I miss a lot of the other stuff. Like I miss those moments where, you know, more recently I've said to you a few times in our conversation, can you please stop speaking? I need a
yeah.
moment to feel this thing that's alive and without.
And that's not a masculine or feminine fucking
No,
energy.
that's
That's you being more present
mm,
in your emotions. And I'm also not discrediting all those maps and platforms and areas that you need to enter into these fields. I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying that I feel like sometimes if I had gone a roundabout way and maybe found the things that I know now
mm,
in the spaces that I did then, maybe it would have been easier or faster or but also that wasn't my path and it wasn't my journey. I had to go through those things and get really engrossed in, oh, the polarity of this, I need to do that. And I needed to figure those things out for myself. So maybe you need to figure them out for yourself. But
yeah,
I'm just giving my perspectives now on how I believe that things can happen. Because, I feel like in Circle, we talk a lot of, like, I feel like I just keep coming back to honesty now.
mm,
Well, what about this? What if I do this? Then, is that going to make her feel this? I was like, what are
mm,
you feeling? What are you feeling right now? I'm feeling this. Okay, tell her that. Well, what happens if she reacts that way? Well, she's going to react that way. Then you be trustworthy in yourself to hold whatever comes and then keep just being, hey, I'm just being honest.
yeah,
There's still discernment and there's times and places to speak into different things. But yeah, I just, you know, and I know that honesty isn't easy. And I know that attunement to honesty or
mm,
truth isn't easy. So I'm not saying, hey, just go speak the things, because sometimes you don't know what to speak. You don't even know that it's present to speak. You don't even know that you're lying to yourself.
yeah,
Like, this is important. I get that I'm asking people to potentially do something they have no fucking awareness of.
yeah,
I.e., so then when you're in a relationship and you're having these conflicts, it's about being around people that can help you identify your own inner world so then you can better understand that so you can actually talk.
yeah. I liked during Circle this week. One of the things that stood out for me was how quickly um, we go into story.
Yeah.
You know, so we were dissecting some relationship stuff that was going on with a couple of the brothers, and it was one of my favorite bits is that Jacob just went straight in. Is it a yes or a no answer?
Yeah.
And you know, very quickly the men are like yes, but or
Yeah.
no, but, and so I feel like that's kind of where you're going with that. Well, that's where my brain's dissecting it, is to go. It's a really difficult thing to do because we're very, very quick to go, you know, if I was having a problem or trying to be a certain thing and you're like, are you doing this or are you doing, is it a yes or is it a no? And then quickly, like I'll go, well, it's kind of yes, because I'm going to do this, but I'm going to go and do this as well. And it's like, well, that's not the piece. So that the honesty piece can be difficult as well. Like,
Mm.
and this is more for the listeners, if we don't have other people, like good friends or people around that are actually being honest with us
Mm.
as well. Yeah, so it's interesting because where my brain's going right now is we have all these friends, and we love them so much in a lot of cases, and they're the ones that we offload to, and they allow us to tell our stories, which are always really beautiful, and I'm the best storyteller in the world. um, but yeah, the bit coming back to me is when, Jacob, you just go like, it's like cut through the bullshit.
Mm.
That moment of where the programming has to have a jolt, like it actually needs a
Mm.
person to stop the programming right there and just go, this, the reason that you're continuing to stay in this piece or stay in this part is because the story keeps
Mm.
growing or getting bigger or evolving or changing.
Yeah.
Um, and so like coming back to where we started with this, we're around like the question asked is like, what is masculinity? And then, what's coming alive for me now is it's not even that word. It's just attunement to self and
Yeah.
speaking your truth,
Yeah.
and having rock solid people
Yeah.
around you that actually go, hey mate, for the last 3 weeks you've been saying this, and this.
Mm.
Can I give you a reflection right now? Are you open to something? And for me, these are all new words in my realm that I'm learning to
Yeah.
use, because just jarring someone straight away isn't going to necessarily make
No.
them change. The quicker I am on the trigger about going, no, that's wrong. It's like you don't actually know if it's wrong for someone else, or you've only got your story and your ways that you're doing things.
Mm.
So yeah, like that's so it's such a beautiful thing, like to come back to attunement to self and speaking your truth, but also learning new ways and um, new understandings of actually how to do that in a space,
Yeah.
which is so important.
Mm.
I had a conversation with a work colleague 2 days ago, and the main piece that I said to her was, have you ever taken the time to think about how the other person is right now?
Yeah.
She was in conflict, and I
Yeah.
said, she's like, well, she's just done all this wrong. And I said, but do you know her story? Do you know what she's going through right now? And have you taken even the time to ask her? And I
Yeah.
watched her whole body, like she came in, I watched her whole body just sink
Yeah.
down, and I said, so, like, firstly, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of space right now to hold for you if you need. Can I give you some reflections of this right now?
Mm.
And when she walked out, I saw her yesterday. She said, I just went home and cried for like 4 hours to my husband. It was really beautiful. I said,
Yeah.
I love that to you. It's
Yeah.
like attunement to it, to watching how someone's walking in, attunement to having um, having the space or the capacity to look at them. But like, yeah, I guess masculinity to me right now is something that I spoke about to you, is having a really regulated nervous system and
Mm.
being able to be calm enough to hold, but also to be able to speak. Speak with honesty,
Mm.
and speak with um, thought.
Yeah.
And there's so much more there, Jacob, that I could speak about for the next 2 hours. I'm incredible at word vomiting, but
Mm.
like that's what's really alive for me right now is attunement to self
Mm.
and speaking your truth calmly.
Yeah. And I don't know why the word confidence just came through to me.
Mm.
Like confidence, it's the most sexy thing ever, really. And confident in your word and in your actions and how you show up is just, yeah, that feels really strong for me. And if we're just talking about strong, like, I don't know, maybe masculinity is just like the confidence within self to feel strong and powerful and here and ready and capable of tackling everything that is going to come towards you. That feels strong to me. If that's what my masculine energy feels like
Yeah.
to me, is like I'm ready to go in the power, but in the softness as well, and in the chaos and in the calmness. It's like it all feels like equal playing field for me, and I feel like my masculine energy is ready to absorb all of it.
Speaking of strength, I race next weekend on Saturday.
Yep.
So I'm doing 50 Ks with one of the other men from Circle and a few of my mates. Anyway, about a week ago, one of the men that I train with, I said, "Oh, like I'm really excited to sort of lean into this race. It'd be good, to get out there and do this thing together." And he sort of turned and looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, well, if any of you like are slow, like I'm just going."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, it's like I'm not waiting around. Like this is a
I love that.
race."
I love
And
that.
then I got this like charge of energy inside.
Yeah.
I was sort of looking at him, and inside I was like,
Fuck you.
"Yeah, you're fucking dead to me." I'm like, I've trained so much harder than you. I don't give a fuck if you're 26.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like game on,
Yeah.
proper, like chewed up energy. I've been watching shots on Instagram of Ned Brockman, like just watching him because at the moment he's running 1,600 kilometers in 10 days. He's a beast. He's doing 160 kilometers a day
That's
around
crazy.
the track. And
Hectic.
yeah, I'm so excited. So I called my coach, Benny. I said, this is great. Last Saturday, I was actually in the kitchen here and I said, Grothy, I need to talk to you. He goes, talk to me. I said, mate, this is a race. And he goes, yeah, I know it is. And I said, no, we're not running together. Like, it's not a fun run anymore. It's a race. I've been fucking waiting for this.
Yeah.
So we've got a call this week about the race plan.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. So I know but hopefully you'll listen to this, Adrian, but you're dead.
It was Adrian that said it.
No.
Oh,
It's
no.
Zaggy that said it.
Yeah.
Adrian's dead anyway.
Yeah.
I love you, Adrian.
You big tank.
But yeah, it's been a long time since I've had a charge towards like
Competitive energy, man.
yeah,
Fuck.
AFL days,
Yeah.
like footy days. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. And it's a different energy. And I wanted to speak into this. I was listening to a podcast about 2 weeks ago, and it's a really fantastic podcast on the Imperfects about talking about boys. And this ties well in with the masculinity. But there was a piece in there that one of the men shared about when he was young, how he used to play AFL. And he used to go out there every day, and he used to have the reputation for being the guy that like smashed everyone. He was really tough, and they were all sort of giggling about it. And he said, I actually hated that person that I was.
Yeah.
And I broke down while I was listening to the podcast because what came alive for me was that I don't even know if I loved playing footy. I used to do it to make my dad proud.
Yeah.
And it was like a really big realization for me about how like even when I get like angry now in a car and I like have that feeling of like, oh, I just want to, throw down with that guy in the car.
Yeah.
It's all around the way that my dad used to tell me that like how I needed to be. Like I needed to be tough. And so for me now, still inside, when you're in that moment of like, oh, I think, this guy's just looked at me. Am I going to have to fight him? I'm like, that programming is so deep and so embedded. But it was a really big sort of moment where I was like, still loved the game.
Yeah.
Like I love playing footy and I'm playing touch footy now and it still makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I used to run out there loving the game or whether or not I used to run out there just so dad would notice me and say, I love you, which stems back to, to all the work that we're doing on that. But yeah, like it was really, really profound for me to hear another man say that and be so open about it. And then I went, oh, wow. Like there was a lot of times where I tried to smash people in the field or I tried to do things because I'd come off and go, did you see that, Dad?
Yeah.
Dad, did you see me do this? Dad, did you see that on the field?
Yeah. Yeah, I think sport for a lot of people is validation, like whether it's for friends, family, fucking a woman, I still think it's okay to want to be seen in that and to seek that. Because I used to love watching people watching me play because then they'd see me do well, and then I'd get accolades and then I'd get people patting me on the back and you had a good game. And, I think it's okay to also have those things be present in our life, It's okay to want validation and to want to be seen like that. But yeah, I get that. And it's funny because like I just used to like to hurt people. I was like, reflecting on that, was that because of like mum died and I wanted to get my anger out on someone, or is it just I really like the combative combat of football, you know, and being better than someone. And it's okay to want to be better than someone in that respect, and to have, like, tomorrow, next week, you're gonna want to be better than him. You're
Yeah.
gonna, you know, and for you to win, you have to be better than him on that day. So it's like, it's okay to have those feelings and thoughts, you know. Sometimes, oh no, like, everyone should just play friendly and be happy and rah rah rah. No, fuck, we're men. I think part of being a man is like the combative, competitive, primal instinct that drives us to be the protector and to then show up in our relationships in with that energy.
Yeah.
You know, I love fucking people up in that essence, and you know, I've talked about this a lot with my softness, my tenderness, and my like expression, like dressing up as a girl, wearing a fucking leotard in these photos that we took, and I haven't posted yet because I'm waiting for the right time for it to be part of my branding. But the other side of that is like, I would choke you to death. That's the part. That's the other part that feels alive in me. Is that like, oh, I really want to be tested in that energy around having to survive and kill and do all those things. And I think, like, yeah, if we talk about polarity, I can hold both. You know, I can dress up in a dress and put my mascara on and eyeliner, but I also can wrestle you on the ground and fuck you up. You know, and I think the confidence to be able to embody both pieces is special, and a lot of people don't want to do that. You know, because there is that weird, expressive, fucking cuckoo side that wants to just be weird. And
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, I do. That's part of my jam anyway.
Why do you think we, as all humans, do you reckon that that ties in with wanting to do really difficult things? So, for example, um, I've signed up for the 100K next year, and there's a bigger piece in that for me around connecting with my father. So one of the training sessions that I'm doing every week is going to see Dad and spending time with him, and it felt so right for me to
that's cool.
to do that. So the whole idea was that I do my training every week, but every week one of my sessions is that I go and sit with my father.
Yeah.
And I have to hold myself accountable to that. Otherwise, I don't do the race. And I've actually asked him to come to the race. So I'm hoping that him and Joe will come down and spend the weekend down there. And that I could think of nothing better than seeing you and him. And I've just thrown it down to you too. But like at 70 or 80 Ks to hug my father.
Yeah.
And to say, hey, mate, I'm like doing this for us. Like I'm doing this for our relationship.
Yeah.
And it feels like I really felt that just then. Like it feels it's so much different because that's the training session for me. It's not the most difficult, but it's the one that I'm wanting to work on the hardest. You know, like I can go out there and run. It's hard.
Yeah.
But you know, some days to go to Dad's and to have those deeper conversations, or just for me just to show up and be with him, you know, and sometimes it's clunky and sometimes it's great and other times it's, you know, if he's going through stuff, it's more difficult, but it's to me it's so beautiful to actually go and get to spend that time with him that I never thought that I would get again at one point in my life.
Yeah, because that's deeper attunement around the presence of what's important, especially with our families. Like you said, you know, your dad's not going to be here forever, and what a fucking awesome thing to implement within the training program to then hold you stable to like a deeper truth. You know what I mean? Like you can get lost in the avoidance and dissociation from running every day, that it just becomes this fucking thing that you're doing. But having a real life human keeping the presence within it is just, I think that's a really positive way to navigate through these huge things and to bring your family into the journey as well, and to be able to reflect to him weekly like your challenges and, you know, your hardships through that, and, you know, essentially he'll support you in a different way, or, you know, just bring deeper connection. And it's just it's really beautiful that you're creating that awareness for yourself, that, you know, to bring that into the running. It's fucking top notch.
I like that. I like that little, I really like that little smile just then as your eyes went up, because it took, when I signed up, I was like, before I was going to sign up, I didn't feel the calling to do it. I was like, well, it's 100 Ks, what? So I can go and tell everyone that I did 100 Ks. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, you know what? I actually thought of you straight away, because I just thought you'll say to me why. Yeah. and I was totally fine with that. Yeah. And then you'd say like, everything that we're speaking about me regulating my nervous system, not putting more on my plate and doing all these things, you know, it's like now you want to go and do this like way bigger thing
Yeah.
with with all the other things that you're just doing the same,
Yeah.
you know, and then I thought like I actually just thought like I want to go and see my dad every Sunday morning. And I said, well, what if I did my run, you know, on the Sunday morning and I went straight for my run pretty much and I had to swim at dad's and then
Yeah.
go and sat with him for an hour.
Yeah.
And that was actually the training session.
Mm.
And so I called Benny, that was the first person, my coach, and I just said, hey, this is what I want to do.
Mm.
Do you think that this would be silly? And he's like, no, mate, you've got the base. It's not silly at all. And
Yeah.
he goes, that's so much more beautiful
Yeah.
than just, you know, doing the thing to get to the finish line. And it wasn't a charity. Nothing stood out to me. You know, like people are like, I'm doing it for this. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I ran for my brother, you know, a couple
Yeah.
of years ago. That was my first run. There's no
Yeah.
inside. There's no fire for that.
Yeah.
But the fire that's super alive still is the fire for my relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
And I want that relationship to be better. And
Yeah.
I want to show up as the best version of me for him, so that he can basically have memories of me for the last part of his life. But then for me, his memory, when he goes, I get to remember all these times.
It's like that. There's a little book out there, I think, like Get to Know Your Father. You know, you could almost get that book and like fill out parts together. Because sometimes it's nice to have prompts, like to just, you know, you don't have to go deep or like find a story. It's like, oh, there's a question here. Like, let's talk about that. You know, and just I'm excited as well for a similar sort of thing around my dad with the film and you know, cracking in next year and documenting his whole life. It feels like it's gonna be challenging for him, challenging for me, and there's parts that he's not going to want to talk about. But just inviting him into that feels fun, and I really look forward to knowing my dad. Like I feel like so many people, you know, you ask, oh, like what did your dad do or your parents do as children? Like what was their thing that they used to love? And most people are like, I don't know. They only know their dad from their childhood and what they used to do with their dad. Yeah. So what did he do? What shaped him? You know, what made him the man he is? And it's that curiosity. And, you know, we talked about this when we first started working together. It's like you wanted all these things from your dad. It's like you haven't even asked your dad about him and his life, you know. And you want him to care for you more, but you don't want to inquire about who he is and why he doesn't want to talk, or why he is the way he is, or why he parented the way he did. It always comes back to that. It's like it's all the men as well. I work with them and say that, you know, go ask your dad some questions about his life, and then maybe he'll care more about yours.
For my dad, it's an interesting one for all the listeners too. It's like people say that as well, and then for my dad, it's not even the questions, it's the time. Yeah. So the more time, the more I show up to his house, which is his thing. He said, I'm not coming. So he basically said, listeners, that he's not going to come and see me, that he's not interested in that. He wants me to go and see him at his house, and he'll cook, he'll do everything, but that's his version of love. Yeah. Right. So me just showing up there, he gets this grin a mile wide, and he always says, my son, my son. He says every time, the prodigal son returns, his favorite lines. But that's enough for him. And some days, if I ask him a question, I can tell straight away, he'll just discard it. And I'm like, it's not a question day. Yeah. Like it's back to attunement, back to awareness. He has days where he'll want to, and then other days where he's like, how's your week been? And he just wants to talk. Yeah. And it's not about you day. It's about, cool, I'm attuning to, he doesn't want to talk today. Yeah. Maybe we just watch footy and don't say a word to each other all day. 100%. You know? Yeah. I think that's cool. So beautiful. Yeah. What else we got today? I feel like, just so everyone knows, I'm a little bit sick, and I can feel the warmth of having these headphones in my head giving me a headache. How can we? The one that I'm leaning into is still the vulnerability, and looking forward to leaning into a new relationship, and you're in the thick of the start out of a new relationship. Yeah. How can we communicate better to allow vulnerability? And I'll tell you why I got this question first, so then you can answer it. So when I went out to lunch the other week with Cam, we were speaking about vulnerability. And Cam had said that he used to believe that if he was vulnerable to someone, it would allow them to be vulnerable, and then he could fix them.
Yeah.
right? So that was his way of being vulnerable because he wanted to fix everyone.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me. It was like I was always like, I'm so open, so I'll be vulnerable, and then someone else will be vulnerable, and then I'll be able to help them. But I wouldn't allow anyone
Yeah.
until you came along to truly see me and then allow you to heal me or
Yeah.
help me heal.
Yeah.
And so the reason I got that question was like for the listeners is sometimes I found it really easy to be vulnerable per se, like open armed, but to actually allow like any trauma or any ability to be able to start healing myself to come through or actually allow people to help me in a relationship that was it was there was a part of me that just shut off
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, how can we, if we're in a relationship or friendship or anything, how can we, you know, help someone to open up to those parts and those pieces that they do shut off really quickly or they just like I can't go there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it comes back to this attunement piece again, because like you just said, you want someone to open up and be vulnerable, but you're not willing to open up and be vulnerable to a place that's going to evoke that in them, you know? So it's like, I used to think I was very vulnerable in certain areas, but I actually wasn't. There's always a deeper truth or a deeper fear hanging around that doesn't want to be exposed. And I can only get a certain amount of vulnerability or depth from other people. It's because I wasn't willing to share that within myself. So, yeah, I guess if you're wanting to help people be more vulnerable, how honest and raw can you be with them in the conversation, you know? And yeah, it's also about creating that safe space. Maybe that you're not the right person for them to be open and vulnerable with, and it's not your job to make someone feel open or vulnerable. It's just, yeah, continuing to share from your own heart, your own experience without needing or wanting to get something out of someone else, you know, or get them somewhere. You know, like if Cam's experience was him wanting to fix someone, that would have, you know, come across so much in so many different ways that he wasn't even aware of, you know. People don't want that. People think they want that, but they don't want that. They don't want to be fixed by someone that doesn't really have maybe a knowledge base or actually like has contained safety within that friendship to warrant that, or to even ask that person, hey, do you want some advice from me? You know, when it's coming through subconsciously to try and heal someone for your own validation or your own caregiver role that you're trying to play to seek your own outcomes. Yeah. I just think, a lot of people, again, like, they don't know themselves enough to be vulnerable. You know, people are wanting other people to be vulnerable. It's like they don't even really know who the fuck they are. They don't know the pieces that are hiding. Like, for me, for a long time, like, it's not till I got in certain spaces or situations where I'm like, oh, wow, that's the thing that's there. Even the other night with Kristen, a thing came up, like a piece that had like come up through the day subconsciously around a fear. And it took a while for me to then navigate. I was like, oh, there it is, you know. And that wasn't from her. It was from me realizing all the pieces and then being open and vulnerable about, hey, this was what was present for me, and I didn't notice it coming up throughout the day. So, like, it's like anything. The vulnerability comes to your attunement of your honesty. Yeah. So once you're more attuned to what is alive for you, then you can figure out why it's alive, where it comes from, and then you can openly share about it. But until you have that stuff, how are you going to know what to share?
Vulnerability through attunement
Of your honesty.
of your honesty. Yeah. I like that.
Vulnerability through the attunement of your honesty. Yeah.
Comes back to attunement.
Yeah. And yeah, that takes lots of processes and lots of work and lots of assistance. I think co-regulation in these spaces is really important for you to learn how to find out who you are. Not be told who you are, to find out who you are. To work with a coach that just wants to implement more wisdom and knowledge from your database, not from my database. It's just, I want you to know you better. I don't want to teach you to be like me. I just want you to love you and be confident in who you are and how you show up.
And speaking of co-regulation, something that I've really learned about that is that co-regulation stems from a feeling. It's not a word. So a lot of
Yeah.
people believe, that co-regulation comes from like you come into this space and I tell you something and then I help you regulate. I like to think of it around like when you're holding a child or a baby, you're not verbally saying anything to
Yeah.
that baby, but when you're as a human being, you're regulated, you are actually, and you hold like that baby up to your face or your chin, wherever it is, and you notice that the baby's calming and it's relaxing. It's the same for adults. So
Yeah.
when I stepped into to Jacob's house for a session, or I do a session, or even with him now, I have been in the past quite dysregulated. I'm far more regulated now. And I used to come into that space and quite quickly after you'd either given me a little massage or just held space for me to come in. Like a couple of times I just started crying
Yeah.
as soon as I walked in because it's a feeling. So
Mm.
it's like I truly believe it's like I'm here, I'm at 0 point,
Mm.
you might be dysregulated. I'm holding space and calmness. And eventually, in this space, hopefully, you'll be able to come back down. Yes, through some of my words, I might say, but not from what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So when people are out there and they're listening to this and they've got their partner, if you come home super dysregulated from work and your partner's dysregulated,
Mm.
and then you're trying to tell them to do something, they're trying to
Yeah.
tell you to do something. It's not that's not co-regulating, not regulating together by telling each other to do something. And,
Yeah.
and I'm only learning this now because of the point that Jacob brought up around my students. And I said the parents constantly tell me, "Oh, you're such an amazing teacher, and you're such this," and they're so they come home and they're so different now. And you brought up the point. It was that they come to my classroom a lot of time and they leave regulated. They
Mm.
leave calm and they go home and their parents are dysregulated, and the child is the one that is actually helping co-regulate their parents in
Mm.
some instances. And so, yeah, no science. There's not science behind this. There's not like it's the same as the work that you do. That it's not a psychology, or it's not something that you can just have a word for and it changes.
Mm.
If you want to come into the deep woo woo or the spiritual world or whatever people want to talk about, it is the piece around like I'm here,
Yeah.
you're here, I'm regulated, you might be dysregulated. My body and its energy can actually help you. I
Yeah.
don't even say anything. I can actually help you regulate by us just being here.
Mm.
Maybe me even just touching you and say, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's far more. There's a million other things too that you're absolutely brilliant at, and that I'm
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
But for me, that there's a lot of comfort in knowing that now.
Mm.
That actually there's just chemicals and bits and particles and stuff floating around that's going from you, coming over here, going, "Hey,
Yeah.
safe."
Yeah. So it's a big tip for parents as well.
Okay.
Children are crazy or
Yeah.
crying and screaming, and it's generally because they're attuned to their parents'
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Anxiety is just passed through from the parents to the children, and the more that they can get their own stuff. I'm very unclear today. Get their own mind together. It comes through to the children, as it has with your students at school. The more that you've regulated yourself, the more that you become more aware, your children have adopted those theories and processes, and fucking amazing.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Last piece today.
Okay.
Jacob's just come home. If you could think of maybe one or two songs that come to mind, maybe songs that you listen to while you're overseas, or a song that comes to mind that, if you put that song on, you would go, yeah, this song is reflective of my trip.
Yeah.
I'll give you a minute because this is quite a hard question. It just came to mind, but yeah, if you got like a song maybe that you were enjoying over there, that is
It's funny. It probably dropped in last night. There was a song we talked about at dance last night about like the skin just being a giant sack of water, but just a giant sack of water moving around. And like then there was a song that was a tune to the element of water and the river and the flow. And yeah, I feel like when that song came on, I was like, oh fuck, this is love. Like this is what love feels like. It's just this malleability, this adapting to different situations and scenarios with just ease, as long as we let the water flow. And um, yeah, didn't really have too many songs while I was away that were like captivating me like that. But I feel like, yeah, there was two love songs that came on last night that I was like, yeah, of course they're here. Yeah, just the energy of love is probably, if we were to go outside of a song, it's just the energy of love, and inspiration and excitement and joy and bliss. That's what the trip feels like, because it was like, yeah, there were so many different parts of the trip, but yeah, I feel like once the thing of love came in, it was like, oh, huh, I want to do all this with someone.
Yeah.
Like the journey by myself was amazing, and it brought through the things that needed to be seen. And then once I realized that, and I realized the part around wanting to be a partner and a father, and I wanted to be home with my men and create community, and then I was like, oh, I want to travel these moments and these times. I want someone to watch my movie with me, and I want to watch their movie, and I want to witness them, and I want to be witnessed in this excitement, in this fun. I don't want to do this alone anymore. A bit of a tangent from the song, but yeah,
No,
I
I love
just
that.
feel
I think,
like, yeah,
that's a really like a beautiful way to sum it up today.
Mm.
Is I love that bit, that the one piece that I think that was often a clip, a reel that you sent me. But like, love to me is having someone else witness my movie of
yeah,
life.
Mm.
That was so much more profound than most things that I've heard about love,
Yeah.
because I was always willing to witness someone else's,
yeah,
but probably not as willing to understand that they were witnessing my
yeah,
version
yeah.
of life.
And you wanted them to,
Yeah, yeah,
and you want them to.
correct.
Yeah,
And you have done that
Mm.
for me. Like,
Mm.
you witnessed, like, and have witnessed and
Mm.
allowed me to have that. And now I yearn for that with a woman,
Yeah.
like, for them to watch it. So I'm so excited to check back in over the next 2 weeks, and and see what's alive for you and what's come up.
Yeah.
And also like to hear more excitement and attunement to how to weigh what is love. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What is love for you?
Yep.
And I'm really excited for dinner tonight.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for the podcast too. I think the consistency of the fortnightly, we're going to get a bit more serious with this, and bring in different people and different experiences and different walks of life. And it's not just going to be about Mal and I. And I'm really excited to really grow this and really start to drive this home, because this is important for me. It's important for Mal, and yeah, like, for the small amount of listeners that we have, there's people that reach out, and I've had connections overseas. I met a brother in Amsterdam through him seeing the podcast on YouTube, and had a really beautiful connection there. Sat a men's circle in Amsterdam through the podcast, so the 10 people that listen, or the 10 people that we connect with, is important to me. I don't need to sit here and be like, oh, I need 40,000 fucking followers, which would be great. Can't wait for that day. But for the small listeners and the small subscribers out there, like, we appreciate you, and we really, love receiving your messages and connection. And we're always here to speak and guide, and yeah, if there's anything you want to speak about on the podcast, or bring to us, we're open to receiving that, please.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Much love.
Much love. Small words and big egos out.
Peace.
Bye.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God, it's